and welcome to Friday Night Smackdown. I, Gorilla Monsoon, with Mike Lane and with Wade Barrett. And today on Friday Night Smackdown, we have, a good show, here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Yesterday on Impact Her Hit, Asuka beat Braun Strowman and she is now a two-time TWF heavyweight fighter. And do any of us, think that is cool or not, Gorilla Monsoon says. A lot of folks went and thought that would have happened. I didn't think it was going to happen. Shit. But it did. I could tell you one thing right now, Mike Lane says. Asuka, as the TWF heavyweight fighter, ended up doing very well for herself after she beat Braun Strowman yesterday on Impact Her Hit. But how she ended up doing it, your guess is good as mine. I'll tell you right now, Gorilla Mike, you want to know how she did it? She outwised Braun Strowman. I mean, Braun Strowman is no dummy. Alright, he's wise. I mean, but if you take someone's eyesight away from them, then they're handicapped and no need how big or how small they are. And Asuka just had to beat him. And how she ended up doing it, well, that's a whole other thing, Wade Barrett says. And now I think, Wade Barrett says, but Braun Strowman, it was a dumb choose of him to make that dumb choose to fight Asuka, knowing that he was going to lose to her, knowing that he lost to her before, and now he's going to lose to her again. Well, here comes Asuka now, coming to the ring now, the new TWF, heavyweight fighter for the 2-whiff time, who can't stand up unless we put her on a stand. Alright, Asuka says, I'm a two-time TWF heavyweight fighter. And everyone who saw Impact Her Hit yesterday saw how I beat Braun Strowman and became a two-time TWF heavyweight fighter. So it don't mean how big you are or how small you are, you could still get beat. And it just goes to show that Braun Strowman, was not ready, for Asuka. Well, that could be true. Well, that could be true, Gorilla Monsoon says. But that's a highly wise woman, right there, saying a dumb thing when she said that anybody can lose, but saying that Braun Strowman wasn't ready for Asuka. Now that was a belief right there. And I'd like to know what the TWF, I would like to know what Seth Rollins thinks of all this, because he ended up, getting himself thrown out. He ended up getting a match thrown out that ended up making it where he couldn't fight for the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight winnings, Gorilla Monsoon says. Yeah, that was true, Mike Lane says. And now we're going to see what Seth Rollins... We're going to see, how Seth Rollins... and how Paulie Dangerously, are going to deal with it. Alright, Oscar, you're the TWF heavyweight fighter for a 2-whiff time. I mean, great for you. But we all know, Seth Rollins says, that I'm the one. I weakened down Braun Strowman all those times that we fought. And it was thanks to King Caesar. And he weakened down Braun Strowman. So I think that you should give me thanks. Oh yeah, I truly think, Paulie Dangerously says, Oscar, that you should give him thanks. Because I always felt that you were, because in my mind I always thought you were one of those great woman wrestlers, and how you went on to do all of these great things since you've been WWE since 25th between FYL on NXT, then Raw, then Smackdown, then Raw, then Smackdown, then Raw, and how you did all those things. But at the end of the day, you can only believe that you're gonna, lose to Seth Rollins. First off, Paulie Dangerously and Seth Rollins, you both can say that you did a lot of things. And I ain't gonna go say that you didn't, Seth Rollins. I mean, being a 2-time WWE heavyweight fighter, 1-time WWE NXT heavyweight fighter, a 1-time world heavyweight fighter, 2-time WWE Interland Body fighter, and 2-time WWE 4-1 Rights fighter, and a 3-time World Tag Team fighter, Galled in the Boundary winner, Kingly Thunder winner. Yeah, you done a lot of those things. So I'm not going to take any of that away from you. But I don't think it is good as what I did. I mean, yes, I was a former WWE NXT Women's Heavyweight Fighter, held it for a long time, and I had a long unbeaten run that went all the way from 25th between YL to 28th between YL. Most likely probably longer than anyone else ever had an unbeaten run goes. And being a 3-time WWE Woman Heavyweight Fighter and a 1-time Woman World Heavyweight Fighter, and also being a 4-time WWE Women's Tag Team Fighter, Kingly Thunder winner. I didn't win Gal in the Boundary yet because I'm still working to do that. But I'm not going to be giving up the TWF heavyweight winnings to you. The so-called seer, dreamer, upriser. Well, you're going to have no say in that, Oscar. Because I got with me King Caesar, which you might say, which you could say was a steadholder for Bronson Reed. But when you get Bronson Reed, King Caesar is still going to be in my team too. Yeah? Get her, Bronson Reed. Oh! And Oscar just spit right into King Caesar's lair. And I don't care how big or how strong or how mighty you are, Gorilla Monsoon said, you lose your eyesight, you get handicapped in some way like that. It's not going to care how big, that you are. You're still going to go down, Gorilla Monsoon says. You got that right, Mike Lane says. You're still going to go down because if you can't see, you can't wrestle and you can't fight. And now we're going to have Seth Rollins. He's going to most likely be bitching to Ric Flair. You saw what happened out there. Yeah, I did. I saw Oscar spit in King Caesar's lair. And what are you going to do about it? I mean, you're the one who started it with her. Do you and do you want to have a match with Asuka? Yeah. Well, sorry, because you end up getting that one match you were when Braun Strowman thrown out, so you can't go for the TWF heavyweight winnings. What do you mean I can't? You were earnest about that oversight? Hold on, Seth. Ric Flair, with all needed onward, you can't earnestly think that him having that match thrown out meant that he couldn't go for the TWF heavyweight winnings. Yeah, that's what I meant, Paulie Dangerously. You know, yeah, you both should have fought before he did that, because now he can't fight for the TWF heavyweight winnings, and that's the end of it. Well, it seems this is unfair, Wade Barrett says. This is unfair. Seth Rollins can't fight for the TWF heavyweight winnings due to some kind of, bullshit oversight. That's not right, Mike Lane said. Not right. That's not right, Wade Barrett says. Well, life isn't fair, and sometimes life isn't right. And if Seth Rollins wanted his match, he shouldn't have had gotten the match he was in thrown out. Do the misdeed, do the time. Do the sin, do the time, Gorilla Monsoon says, Wade. And that's the end of it. But it seems that we do have a match anyway, because it seems that Paulie Dangerously, has King Caesar with him, and it looks like we got a match going. Well, now Asuka's going to have to wonder how she's going to get past King Caesar, Gorilla Monsoon says, giving to King Caesar being a big man. Well, Mike Lane says, I think that Asuka, if she could beat Braun Strowman smoothly without a bind, then I don't think King Caesar is going to be a big deal. This match is for the TWF heavyweight winnings. First, he is, with his overseer, Paulie Dangerously, King Caesar, and she is the TWF heavyweight fighter, Asuka. Well, first off, can Asuka beat King Caesar? Think King Caesar coming at Asuka? Oh, and Asuka doing those hard strikes, strong way, that many skilled wrestlers in Dawnland do, Gorilla Monsoon says. And now King Caesar getting beat up here. Mike Lane says King Caesar should have had a more greater game goal than just run at Asuka, knowing that would put him in a bind. Wade Barrett says, I think King Caesar has a good game goal. He just needs time to play it out, Wade Barrett says. Oh, and King Caesar just knocked down Asuka. It looks like he thinks he's going to smash Asuka like Bronson Reed does. Give me a break, Gorilla Monsoon says. Well, here it comes, Wade Barrett says. All right, get the hand out of the way. Here it comes. Her hand's still in the way. Here it comes. Here it comes, Asuka. Goodbye. Would you stop? Gorilla Monsoon said, saying, Asuka, goodbye. Well, he was going to smash her. So, yeah, I was going to say goodbye to that, Wade Barrett says. Well, Asuka's got Wade Barrett in the Asuka lock, which is also the round Lear chicken wing, Gorilla Monsoon says. A same hold that Bob Backlund done to many wrestlers at one time or another, Gorilla Monsoon says. Is Asuka going to get King Caesar to yield here? Mike Lane says. Will we get a yield here? Well, Asuka could beat Braun Strowman, I do not believe he can beat King Caesar. Ding ding. Oh, here is your winner, and still the TWF heavyweight fighter, Asuka. Well, Asuka is the TWF heavyweight fighter, and Paulie Dangerously and Seth Rollins fought that if Seth Rollins couldn't go for it, then he was under the belief that someone else could. And he chose King Caesar, who now sadly has lost his match to Asuka. You know, Gorilla Monsoon says. So I believe that would mean that King Caesar wasn't ready for Asuka. Gorilla Monsoon says. Oh, that's so. Well, you know, that could be true. Mike Lane says that, you know, the King Caesar wasn't ready for Asuka, you know, and that meant that Seth Rollins wouldn't be ready for her either, and Paulie Dangerously wouldn't be ready for her either. Reader Mike Lane says, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Wade Barrett says, I think it's sad that Seth Rollins couldn't fight Asuka, that Asuka beat King Caesar, and that's just, you know, truly sad in my book that all that happened. Like I told you, Wade, life is not fair, and life is not right sometimes. And Seth Rollins didn't want a match. He shouldn't have gotten a match he was in, thrown out. Alright, take it away, Jonathan Coachman. Oh, thank you, Gorilla Monsoon and Mike Lane. I'm going to be talking with Asuka, the TWF heavyweight fighter. Stand up. Stand up. Alright, Asuka. You are the two-time TWF heavyweight fighter. We just saw you in the ring with King Caesar. However, some of you folks out there might wonder, did you get by on, or did you win the match on the skin of your teeth? Oh, first off, teeth don't got no skin. Two with, I don't really think luck had anything to do with it. I knew that if I could blind or take the eyesight away from King Caesar, then he could go down the same way Braun Strowman would go down, the same way Seth Rollins would go down, even the same way Paulie Dangerously would go down, and hell, we had Bronson Reed, he'd go down the same way too. Well, Asuka, are you worried about Seth Rollins, Paulie Dangerously, and King Caesar coming after you? Are you worried about them getting Bronson Reed one day and him coming after you too? Oh, I'm not so worried about Seth Rollins or Paulie Dangerously or King Caesar. All I'm worried about is keeping my TWF heavyweight winnings. And we saw what happened to King Caesar. That's what happened to Seth Rollins, and that's what happened to Paulie Dangerously too. And it would also happen to Bronson Reed. So I guess you're going to say that King Caesar was not ready for you then. That's right. King Caesar was not ready for Asuka. Well, that's my talk with Asuka. Back to you, Gorilla Monsoon and Mike Lane. Well, thank you, Jonathan Coachman, for talking with Asuka here today on Friday Night Smackdown. And that's all the time we got here for Friday Night Smackdown. I, Gorilla Monsoon, for Mike Lane and Wade Barrett, we hope you like Friday Night Smackdown, and we'll see you tomorrow for Collision or Hit.